Pouring a concrete sidewalk might seem simple at first glance, but trust me, a well-built sidewalk that lasts is all about the prep work, and that starts with understanding the blueprints. Blueprints are like the roadmap to your project. They tell you everything you need to know before you even think about mixing concrete. Think of it like this: you wouldn't drive to a new job site without directions, would you? Blueprints are your directions for your sidewalk. They show you the dimensions, the materials you'll need, and even how the land should be sloped for drainage. They use symbols and lines that might seem confusing at first, but don't worry, we'll break it down together. Once you understand how to read blueprints, you'll be able to visualize the finished product. You'll know exactly where your sidewalk will go, how wide and thick it will be, and how it will fit into the existing landscape. Now let's take a look at some basic elements you'll find on every blueprint. Understanding these elements is crucial for anyone involved in construction, whether you're an architect, engineer, or even a contractor. Blueprints are like the language of construction, and knowing how to read them can make or break a project. First up, the title block. This is like the cover page of your blueprint. It tells you the project name, who drew it, and the date. The title block is usually located at the bottom right corner of the blueprint. It also includes other essential information like the project number, the scale of the drawing, and sometimes even the sheet number if the blueprint is part of a larger set. Next, you've got the legend. Think of this as your decoder ring for the blueprint. It tells you what all those lines, symbols, and abbreviations mean. The legend is often found near the title block and is indispensable for interpreting the various elements on the blueprint. Without the legend, you'd be lost trying to figure out what each symbol represents. For example, a dashed line might represent a hidden pipe underground, and you definitely don't want to miss that. Missing such details can lead to costly mistakes and delays. Always refer back to the legend to ensure you're interpreting the blueprint correctly. Then there's the orientation. This shows you which way is north on the blueprint. It usually looks like an arrow pointing up, but always double check in the legend, just in case. Orientation is crucial for understanding how the blueprint aligns with the actual site. It helps you visualize where different elements will be located in the real world. Knowing north helps you understand how the sidewalk will be positioned on the actual site. This is especially important for projects that need to align with existing structures or natural features. Proper orientation ensures that everything fits together as planned. And finally, we have the scale. Blueprints are drawn to scale, meaning the drawings are proportionally smaller than the actual sidewalk. The scale is usually indicated in the title block, and is essential for converting blueprint measurements to real-world dimensions. The scale tells you how to convert the measurements on the blueprint to real-life dimensions. For instance, if the scale is 1/4 inch equals 1 foot, you can use a ruler to measure the blueprint and then multiply by the scale factor to get the actual size. For example, a scale of 1/4 inch equals 1 foot means that every 1/4 inch on the blueprint represents 1 foot in real life. This allows you to accurately gauge the size and placement of different elements, ensuring that everything is built to the correct specifications. Alright, dimensions. This is where we figure out how big your sidewalk is going to be. Blueprints use lines and numbers to show the length, width, and thickness of your concrete. It's like measuring a room, but on paper. You'll see lines with arrows on each end, called dimension lines, extending from the edges of the sidewalk. The numbers next to these lines tell you the exact distance between those points. You'll see dimensions for the overall length and width of the sidewalk, as well as the thickness of the concrete slab. Blueprints also show you how your sidewalk lines up with your property lines. These are the boundaries of your property. Make sure you know where they are so your sidewalk doesn't accidentally cross over into your neighbor's yard. That's a recipe for trouble. You'll typically see property lines marked with a specific symbol, which you can find in the legend. Section 4. Decoding the slope. Keeping things flowing. In this section, we will delve into the importance of slope in sidewalk construction and how it ensures proper drainage and safety. Now let's talk about slope. The slope of a sidewalk is a critical aspect that often goes unnoticed, but plays a vital role in its functionality. This one's important because a good sidewalk needs a slight slope to drain water properly. Without the correct slope, water can accumulate, leading to various issues. If water pools on your sidewalk, it can freeze and crack the concrete or even create a slipping hazard. This can be particularly dangerous in colder climates where ice can form. Slope is shown on blueprints in two ways, as a percentage or as a ratio of inches per foot. Understanding these measurements is crucial for proper construction. A 2% slope means that the sidewalk drops 2 feet for every 100 feet of length. This gentle slope is usually sufficient to ensure water flows off the surface. You might also see it written as 1/4 inch per foot, meaning the sidewalk drops 1/4 inch for every foot of length. Both methods are used to convey the same information. Don't worry, you can easily convert between these two methods. There are simple formulas and tools available to help with these conversions. To visually represent the slope, blueprints often use a triangle symbol. This symbol helps to quickly identify the slope on the plans. The steeper the triangle, the steeper the slope. This visual cue is an easy way to understand the gradient at a glance. You'll also usually see an arrow indicating the direction of the slope, showing you where the water will flow off the sidewalk. This ensures that water is directed away from areas where it could cause damage or hazards. Section 5. Beyond the basics, extra details to watch for. We've covered the basics, but there are a few more details on those blueprints that are important to understand. First up, control joints. These are essential for the longevity of your concrete structures. These are the lines you see cut into concrete sidewalks. They might seem simple, but they play a crucial role in maintaining the integrity of the concrete. Think of them as little stress relievers for your concrete. By providing a controlled path for cracking, they help manage the natural expansion and contraction of the material. They help prevent cracking by controlling where the concrete is allowed to crack. Without these joints, random cracks could compromise the structure's strength and appearance. On blueprints, you'll typically see them represented by dashed lines with specific spacing noted. This spacing is calculated based on the type of concrete and the expected load. You might also see details about reinforcement. Reinforcement is another critical aspect that ensures the durability of your concrete structures. This refers to steel bars called rebar that are sometimes used to strengthen the concrete. Rebar provides additional tensile strength which concrete alone lacks. The blueprint will show you the size and spacing of the rebar if it's required. Proper placement of rebar is crucial for the structural integrity of the concrete. Finally, don't forget about the subgrade and base material. This is the unseen hero that supports your concrete. This is the foundation underneath your concrete. A well-prepared subgrade ensures that the concrete will remain stable and level over time. The blueprint might specify what type of material to use, like compacted gravel, and how thick it needs to be to ensure proper drainage and support for your sidewalk. Proper drainage prevents water accumulation, which can weaken the concrete over time. Section 6. Practical example. Putting it all together. Let's look at a simple example. Imagine a blueprint for a straight sidewalk leading to your front door. The dimensions show it's 4 feet wide and 30 feet long. The thickness is marked as 4 inches. The slope is indicated as 2%, sloping away from the house. You'll also see markings for control joints spaced every 4 feet. Additionally, there's a note specifying the use of compacted gravel for the base, to a depth of 4 inches. This tells you everything you need to know to build a sidewalk that's the correct size, slopes properly for drainage, and has the necessary structural support. Section 7. Conclusion, confidence in concrete. So, there you have it. Reading blueprints might seem daunting at first, but by breaking it down into these key elements, you can tackle any sidewalk project with confidence. Remember, blueprints are your friends. They give you all the information you need to build a sidewalk that's safe, functional, and built to last. Now that you understand the basics, keep practicing. The more you work with blueprints, the easier it will become to decipher those lines, symbols, and numbers. And remember, always double-check your measurements and don't be afraid to ask questions. After all, a job well done starts with a clear understanding of the plan. Good luck, and happy building!